education. But that's not to say the opportunity is not there. And that's not to say that we as a people don't have the tools to help each other. You know, if you get arrested or if you get injured, what do? You hire an attorney to help you. Why can't, you know, we have a lot of our own indigenous attorneys. We have our own indigenous judges. That, again, is just more proof that we do have the sophistication and the tools as a people to what's necessary to keep us from being exploited from outside forces.
Now, let me explain that a little bit in tomorrow. Este na asunto artículo 12 Fanhelos, né? Managwahan ni delegado ni Americano, delegation ni United States, in 1972 ani ma negócios de covenant, put para uma proteger itau tono from any exploitation, tagi mas pepecha na sinya manalumi mandongkul siya na corporations in America, jau makalamu di tanu gini, endige ti masusedi. Wide special investments lo ginin memegay na ginin Hapon, makto siya na investors gini, zaman naman invest gini kita nota. Y otro punto, esta lekuna, esta tano ta upos, man masangoni na. Tisina na para ta continua sumedi otro, pero sigue ta fan masangoni, na tita tungu dumisponi ta nota. Por favor, malago zone comprende, esta megagi famagonta, famagon mizu manyanao dan manilo no man maiduka. Sinya man espiam judo tamano mention sa Seman, gi abogado dan ginisita judo po no tamano disposisyon mo gitanomo. Lo ipuntate gwini I debi di tanasuwa sa artikulo 12 den fanrenyo ni tanumizo 100%. Maktus tay ora ani debi ni hamdo ni man renyon tano sinan sangan ungan ni jokustaste 100% hogwa no sina dumisponi ti sinan mentalu ni publiko. Bago jana ta fan break, ta fan tabireta to response DST. The Article 12 program will be featured every Tuesday night from 7 to 7:30 for the next 4 weeks. Mark your calendar and be sure to watch the Article 12 programs on Tuesdays, July 27th, August 3rd, August 10th, and August 17th. The Article 12 team will also be conducting town hall meetings in various villages, and once we finalize the schedule, we will inform you accordingly. The Article 12 team has a pamphlet printed titled A Brief Summary, History and Provisions of Article 12. Stay tuned to this channel for more information on Article 12. You might discover that Article 12 team might have the same ideas as you on this issue. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is the Citizens for Change of Article 12. We have been discussing some of the provisions of this article with the panelists here tonight. At this juncture, I would like to discuss a little bit about the blood quantum provision of Article 12. This is the requirement, you know, like your last shot is 25% tomorrow Carolinian. And after that, it disappears. We seem to ignore the fact that as we go on, many of our children will be engaged in what you call intermarriage, marrying somebody not from the island, Hawaii, Guam, you know, United States, as to forget that they too have rights. And I'd like to ask the panelists here tonight to share their views, what they think about this blood quantum provision, and eventually we will be showing you a graphic illustration of the blood quantum dilution as we go on through the years. May I ask Frain to please share your views with our guest tonight?
John, the Constitution says that 25% is the bottom line. Beyond that, he or she is not NMD and therefore cannot own land fee simple. Now, what happened is that as we move forward, there's a lot of changes that takes place in our lives. We see many of our own people marrying outside the Chamorro Carolinian lineage, and then they have kids. And in a situation where both parents are 100% NMD, their offsprings, their children, are naturally 100% NMD, so that's fine. However, say one of the parent is a non-NMD, then their offspring, their children, are only 50%. So right there, first generation, you begin to dilute the blood line, and should that 50% children do marry an outsider, a non-Chamorro Carolinian, their offspring will be 25%. And so you can see, and like you mentioned earlier, we will show this graphically so you can see it. You can see that very soon, in about a 3 generation, these people who have Chamorro or Carolinian blood in themselves, but because they're less than 25%, will be displaced. And I'm going to turn it over to Vince to talk about, what happened beyond that.
Vince?
And if I can also add, sometimes you have this this sense of the protectionism from a lot of the people in our community who are pro Article 12, who say we need to keep Chamorros with Chamorros, or we need to keep Carolinians with Carolinians. They sometimes look down on people who marry outsiders, and I think it's ironic that I think as far as the 3 of us were concerned, we should be fortunate that if one of our ancestors was open-minded enough to marry an outsider, if they weren't open enough, the 3 of us wouldn't be sitting here. Why is it just in the last 10 years, 15 years, are we so ingrained with we can only marry Chamorro, don't marry outsider? It's, looking down on marrying outsider. Our grandparents married outsiders. Our great-grandparents married outsiders. My great-great-grandmother, I trace her back to Ilato, which is, 1,000 miles away from Saipan. And I'm glad that she had the opportunity to come and make Saipan her home. And so it's really no different what's happening today as what was happening hundreds of years ago with people coming in. I mean, it's just the nature of the location of our island. Chamorros were the great navigators who often traveled to other islands for trade, for commerce. And, they meet people from other islands in the Micronesia, come back, bring their spouses back, and other Micronesians, particularly from the Caroline Islands, from Milato, from Satawal, all the way to Chuk, who are coming here. So this is really no new phenomenon of people marrying outside their culture. And what's going on now is you have this continuation of the dilution. And why do we pick now? Why is it that we're going to ban all our children from doing something that their ancestors were able to do, just so that we don't lose their land? I think that as a culture, that was her culture, is to take people from around the area and incorporate them, and that becomes our culture.
A beautiful rainbow of the Marianas.
Right. And John, let me just add that what we're saying is actually happening right now. There are families on this island whose kids are 25% now. It's unlikely that they will marry a Carolinian or Chamorro simply because they are away in school now, and more than likely they'll probably stay there and marry a non-NMD. So right now we have kids that will be displaced.
Now, Vince, let me go back to something that you mentioned about this very Article 12 has displaced bona fide NMI versus long time ago, Chukis and all that were here. Can you explain that a little bit further so we can understand it?
Something that we mentioned before is that the definition, the original definition, ground zero of what is an NMD goes beyond racial or ethnic classification. In fact, if you look at the section by section analysis of the covenant and the Constitution, they purposely, intentionally, deliberately move away from trying to make something as being either racial